Imagine it's May 1st, 1933. You're sitting in your living room in New York. There's a knock on the door. It's a federal agent. He isn't there to arrest you for a crime. He isn't there because you didn't pay your taxes. He's there because of what you have inside your safe. He hands you a piece of paper, Executive Order 6102. It says that holding more than $100 worth of gold is now a criminal offense, punishable by 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The government has decided that your wealth is no longer your wealth. It is their resource to fight the crisis. You have two choices: hand over your life savings to the government in exchange for paper money that's about to be devalued, or become a criminal in your own home. Most people handed it over. They trusted the system. And within months, the government devalued the dollar, effectively stealing 40% of their purchasing power instantly. Now, you might be thinking, that was 100 years ago. That was a different time. That can't happen in a modern democracy in 2026. You are wrong. It isn't a question of if it can happen. It is happening. The mechanism has just changed. They don't send agents to your door anymore. They send algorithms to your bank account. Ask the people of Cyprus in 2013. One morning they woke up to find the banks closed. ATMs were empty. When the banks finally reopened, the government had legally seized 47.5% of all bank deposits over 100,000 euros to save the economy. It wasn't robbery, it was a bail-in. It was the law. Ask the truckers in Canada in 2022. They protested peacefully, and the government didn't send tanks, they sent emails. They froze their bank accounts, their credit cards, and their crypto wallets without a single court order. In 1 second, they were deleted from the financial system. In an economic crisis, the rules of ownership change. When the ship is sinking, the captain has the legal authority to throw your luggage overboard to save the vessel. In 2026, the global economy is the sinking ship. The $38 trillion debt is the leak, and your assets? You are the luggage. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Not all luggage gets thrown overboard. Some of it is hidden, some of it is protected, and some of it is invisible. In this video, we are going to expose the great taking. We will reveal the 5 specific assets that governments and banks will target first when the liquidity crisis hits. And more importantly, we will show you legal, strategic ways to hide them before the knock comes to your door. This is not tax evasion advice. This is survival advice. To understand what is coming, you have to unlearn the biggest lie of the modern financial system. The lie is this: the money in your bank account belongs to you. Legally, it does not. The moment you deposit a dollar into a bank, whether it is Chase, Wells Fargo, or HSBC, that money is no longer your property. You have just made an unsecured loan to the bank. You are not a depositor. In the eyes of the law, you are an unsecured creditor. What does that mean? It means that if the bank goes bankrupt, you are last in line to get paid. The derivatives market gets paid first. The secured bondholders get paid second. The employees get paid third. And you get whatever scraps are left. Before 2010, we had bailouts. When banks failed in 2008, the government used taxpayer money to save them. The public was furious. So the G20 nations came together and said, never again, no more bailouts. Instead, they passed laws authorizing bail-ins. In the United States, this is hidden inside the Dodd-Frank Act. In Europe, it is the Bank Recovery and Resolution Directive, or BRRD. A bail-in means that instead of looking to the government for help, the failing bank looks inward. They have the legal authority to take a portion of their depositors' money and convert it into bank equity or worthless stock options to recapitalize the bank. This isn't a theory, it is the law. Now, look at where we are today, February 2026. The commercial real estate market has collapsed. Regional banks are sitting on trillions of dollars of bad loans. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, has a reserve ratio that is laughably small compared to the total deposits in the system. If 1 or 2 banks fail, the FDIC can cover it. But if we face a systemic contagion, which is exactly what the $38 trillion debt crisis is triggering, the FDIC is mathematically insolvent. They cannot insure everyone. So, when the next domino falls, they won't ask for permission. They will declare a bank holiday. You will see a notice on the door saying closed for restructuring. And when the doors open, a percentage of your money will be gone. They won't call it theft. They will call it a haircut.
They will call it a stability levy. They will say it is for the greater good. But the result is the same. The assets you thought were safe are the first ones on the chopping block. And this leads us directly to asset number 1, the asset that 99% of people rely on for survival, but which is actually the easiest target for a desperate government.
The first asset they will seize is the easiest one to reach. It requires no physical force, it requires no police raid, it just requires a keystroke: your bank deposit. In the world of asset seizure, bureaucrats follow the path of least resistance. Why send agents to find gold bars buried in your backyard when they can freeze your life savings with a single email? This is why bank deposits are asset number 1. They are the low-hanging fruit. Let's look at the playbook. It almost always happens on a Friday night. Why Friday? Because markets are closed, the media is slow, and you, the depositor, can't do anything about it until Monday morning. By the time you wake up on Saturday and realize your card is declined, the legislation has already been passed, the freeze is in effect, and your money is effectively gone. In Cyprus, 2013, this is exactly what happened. The banks closed for a long weekend. When they reopened, accounts were frozen. Wealthy depositors lost nearly half of their money instantly. But in 2026, the threat has evolved. It's not just about bank insolvency, it's about control. We are moving toward a cashless society. As we discussed, central bank digital currencies are being rolled out. If your money is purely digital, and that digital ledger is controlled by the central government, you don't have private property, you have permissioned purchasing power. If you buy the wrong things, support the wrong political cause, or if the government simply needs to dampen inflation by restricting spending, they can turn your money off. So, how do you hide it? You cannot hide a bank account. By definition, it is in the system. But you can protect it by making it harder to seize. Strategy 1. The junk drawer approach. Fragmentation. Never keep all your liquidity in one major, too-big-to-fail bank. These banks have the highest exposure to the derivatives market crash. Split your cash. Keep your operational money in a major bank, but move your savings to smaller local credit unions. Credit unions are member-owned. They generally have much less exposure to Wall Street gambling. They are boring. In a crisis, boring is good. Strategy 2. The physical firewall. You need to become your own bank for a portion of your wealth. Keep 1 to 3 months of living expenses in physical cash in a fireproof safe at home. I know cash loses value to inflation, but in a bank holiday scenario, cash is king. When the ATMs are down and the credit card terminals have no signal, the man with a stack of $20 bills can buy food, fuel, and medicine. Digital numbers cannot. Strategy 3. Jurisdictional arbitrage. This is the advanced move. If you have significant savings, do not keep it all in the country where you live. Open a bank account in a jurisdiction with strong property rights, like Singapore, Switzerland, or even certain Caribbean nations. If the U.S. government orders a freeze on domestic accounts, they do not have immediate jurisdiction over a bank in Singapore. It buys you time, and in a crisis, time is everything. But remember, cash is still fiat currency. It is still a melting ice cube. To truly protect your purchasing power, you need hard assets. However, history shows that even hard assets are not safe if the government knows you have them. This brings us to asset number 2, the asset that has been confiscated by kings, dictators, and presidents for 2,000 years.
You might think gold is safe because it is physical. You can touch it, you can hold it. But history tells us that gold is actually one of the primary targets of any failing regime. Why? Because gold is the competitor to the dollar. When people lose faith in the government's paper money, they flee to gold. This exposes the government's inflation fraud. To stop the currency from collapsing, the government must eliminate the competitor. In 1933, Franklin Roosevelt didn't just ask nicely, he criminalized the possession of monetary gold. But here's the detail most people miss. How did they enforce it? They didn't go door to door with metal detectors to every house in America. That is impossible. Instead, they did 2 things.
They sealed the safe deposit boxes at banks. We will talk about this in Chapter 5. And they made it impossible to use the gold. You couldn't buy anything with it. You couldn't sell it to a dealer without getting arrested. So the gold became useless dead weight until the citizens surrendered it. In 2026, a confiscation might look different. They might not ban it outright. They might impose a 90% windfall profits tax on the sale of gold. If you bought gold at $2,000 and it goes to $10,000 during the collapse, the government could pass a law saying, "You didn't earn that profit. That is inflation. Pay us $7,000 in tax." The result is the same: confiscation of your wealth. So how do you hide it? If you own gold, you need to understand the art of structuring and exemptions. Strategy 1. The history loophole, numismatics. In 1933 executive order, there was a specific exemption for gold coins having a recognized special value to collectors of rare and unusual coins. Basically, generic bullion bars were seized, but historic coins were safe. In a future ban, this is likely to happen again. Governments target standard bullion, bars, because it is money. They often ignore pre-1933 coins, like the St. Gaudens or Liberty Head, because they're viewed as collectibles. Owning numismatic gold gives you a legal argument that your asset is a historical artifact, not monetary bullion. Strategy 2. Wearable wealth. It is very difficult for a government to ban jewelry without causing a massive public uprising. Imagine telling every married woman she must hand over her wedding ring. It's politically suicidal. This is why in India and the Middle East, families store wealth in 22K or 24K gold jewelry. If you need to cross a border, a gold bar in your bag looks suspicious. A heavy gold chain around your neck looks like fashion. It is wealth, hiding in plain sight. Strategy 3. Private non-bank storage. Never, ever store your gold in a bank's safe deposit box. That is the first place they look. Store it in a private vault facility that is outside the banking system. Companies like Brinks or specialized private depositories. These companies do not report to the central bank. Or use the oldest method in the book, midnight gardening. Bury a portion of your stack in a watertight PVC pipe on land you own or control. Make sure only you know the location. No digital map, no GPS pin, just memory. If it isn't in a database, it doesn't exist. But gold is heavy. You can't eat it. And there's another asset that millions of Americans have poured their entire lives into, thinking it is safe for their old age, that is sitting right in the government's crosshairs. This is asset number 3, and this one is the most terrifying because you have already signed the contract giving them permission to take it.
If you think your 401k, IRA, or pension fund is safe, you need to look at the numbers. There is roughly $40 trillion sitting in U.S. retirement accounts. This is the largest pile of liquid cash in the world. To a government that is drowning in $38 trillion of debt, your retirement account is not a nest egg, it is a honeypot. And they don't need to break into your house to take it. They just need to change the rules. History shows us exactly how they do it. They don't steal it, they protect it. The Argentine model, 2008. The Argentine government told its citizens, the stock market is too risky, your pension is in danger. We are going to nationalize the private pension funds to guarantee your payments. Overnight, they seized $30 billion in private savings. The citizens got a government promise instead of their assets. The promise was worthless. The Poland model, 2014. Poland seized 51.5% of the assets in private pension funds. Specifically, they took the government bonds held by the funds and canceled them to lower the national debt. The future American model, the GRA. In 2026, economists are already whispering about guaranteed retirement accounts, GRAs. The pitch will be simple. The market is crashing, your 401k is down 40%. The government will offer you a deal. Convert your volatile stocks into risk-free government bonds. We guarantee you a 3% return. It sounds safe, but it is a trap. They are forcing you to buy their debt. They're using your life savings to fund their deficit. And once your money is in a GRA, you can never take it out. It becomes an allowance, not an asset. So, how do you hide it?
Retirement accounts are the hardest assets to hide because they are registered assets. The IRS knows exactly how much you have, down to the penny. You cannot hide it, but you can liberate it. Strategy 1. The penalty is the price of freedom. The conventional wisdom says never touch your 401k early. You will pay a 10% penalty plus taxes. In a normal world, that is good advice. In a crisis, it is suicide. If you believe a confiscation or a mandatory bond conversion is coming, paying a 10% penalty to get your money out of the system is cheap. Think of it as paying a 10% fee to rescue your hostage. You take the tax hit, you withdraw the cash, and you convert it into non-registered hard assets like gold, land, or Bitcoin that the government cannot easily track. Would you rather keep 60% of your money or lose 100% of your control? Strategy 2. The self-directed IRA. If you cannot withdraw the money, move it. Most 401ks restrict you to buying stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, basically paper assets. A self-directed IRA allows you to invest your retirement money into real assets, physical real estate, precious metals stored in a vault, not your home, or even private businesses. If the government tries to nationalize pensions by seizing the electronic stocks and bonds, it is much harder for them to seize a rental property in Texas or a vault of silver in Delaware that is owned by your IRA. It adds a layer of complexity that bureaucracy hates. Strategy 3. The Roth conversion. In a traditional 401k, the government owns a percentage of your account, the future taxes. If tax rates go to 80% to pay for the crisis, you lose. By converting to a Roth IRA, you pay the taxes now, you settle the debt with the government today so they have less claim on your money tomorrow. But let's say you're smart. You took your money out of the bank, you took it out of the 401k, and you put your valuables in the one place everyone says is the safest place on earth. Asset number 4. Hollywood movies tell you this place is impenetrable. Reality tells us it is a trap box waiting to be welded shut.
There is a psychological comfort in seeing thick steel doors and armed guards. You put your valuables in a bank safe deposit box, put the key in your pocket, and think, this is safe, only I have the key. In a crisis, this is the most dangerous illusion you can hold. A safe deposit box is not a private sanctuary. It is a box located inside a building that the government regulates and can close at any moment. Problem number 1. Access risk. Remember Chapter 2? When the bank holiday is declared and the doors are locked to stop a run on deposits, they don't leave a side door open for you to visit your box. Your box is inside the failed institution. In Greece, 2015, when the banks closed, people could not access their boxes for weeks. Imagine having your emergency cash and passport locked inside the very building that has collapsed. You are standing outside with the key, but you are helpless. Problem number 2. Seizure without warrant. The Beverly Hills warning. You might think, the government needs a specific warrant with my name on it to open my box. Wrong. In 2021, the FBI raided U.S. private vaults in Beverly Hills. They suspected the company of laundering money, but instead of just targeting the criminals, they seized 800 safe deposit boxes belonging to innocent customers. They took $86 million in cash, jewelry, and gold. The innocent box holders had to sue the government and prove their innocence to get their own property back. The burden of proof was flipped. You were guilty until you prove your property is clean. Problem number 3. The 1933 playbook. When FDR banned gold in 1933, the first thing he did was order banks to seal safe deposit boxes. You could not enter your box alone. You had to wait for a government agent to be present. You opened it together. If the agent saw gold, he seized it. If he saw paper money, he let you keep it. There was no privacy. There was only inspection. So how do you hide it? If you have valuables in a bank box today, take them out tomorrow. Here is where you put them instead. Strategy 1. Private non-bank vaults. There are private security companies like Brinks, Loomis, or smaller boutique vaults that offer box rentals.
These are safer than banks because they do not fall under banking laws or bail-in regulations. They are often insured by private underwriters like Lloyd's of London, not the insolvent FDIC. They categorize your box as a bailment, meaning legally it remains your property, not the vault's assets. Strategy number 2, the decoy safe strategy. If you store valuables at home, you must assume a thief or an agent might come in. Don't just have one safe, have two. Safe A, the decoy, put this in the master bedroom closet, make it visible. Put $500 in cash and some fake jewelry. Inside, if a burglar puts a gun to your head, you give them the code to this safe. They take the loot and leave. Safe B, the real stash, this should be a floor safe poured into the concrete foundation or hidden behind a false wall in the basement. It should be fireproof and undetectable. This is the real assets live. Strategy 3, decentralized storage. Never keep all your eggs in one basket. Bury a tube of silver in your garden. Keep a few gold coins at a trusted relative's house in a different state. If one location is compromised, you are not wiped out. But let's say you have protected your gold, your cash, and your privacy. There is one final asset that is more valuable than all of them combined. During the World Wars, this asset was seized not by banks, but by soldiers going door to door. It is the only asset that you actually need to stay alive. Asset number 5.
You can survive a banking collapse. You can survive losing your 401k, but you cannot survive 3 weeks without food. This is why asset number 5 is the most critical, yet the most vulnerable. Essential supplies: food, fuel, medicine. In every major crisis, the government creates a new class of criminal, the hoarder. It is a brilliant propaganda trick. They blame the shortages on the people who prepared rather than the politicians who destroyed the supply chain. In Venezuela, when inflation hit 1,000,000%, the government passed anti-hoarding laws. Police raided warehouses and even private homes to seize food inventory, accusing owners of economic sabotage. In the U.S., under Executive Order 13603, National Defense Resources Preparedness, the President has the legal authority to seize all forms of energy, all forms of civil transportation, and all food resources during a national emergency. In 2026, with global supply chains fracturing and climate regulations tightening, food is becoming the new gold. And if you have a garage full of supplies while your neighbors are starving, you become a target, not just from the government, but from the mob. So how do you hide it? Hiding a year's supply of food is harder than hiding a gold coin. It takes space. You need OPSEC, or operational security. Strategy 1, the gray man theory. The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The first rule of prepping is you do not tell anyone you are prepping. If you tell your neighbor, "Don't worry, I have 6 months of food," you have just told them where to go when they are hungry. To the outside world, you should look just as average and struggling as everyone else. Do not buy 500 cans of tuna in one trip. Buy a little extra every time. Be invisible. Strategy 2, camouflage storage. Do not stack 50-pound bags of rice in your living room window. Use the deep pantry method. Store food in innocent-looking containers. A row of heavy-duty storage bins labeled winter clothes or Xmas decorations can actually be filled with Mylar bags of beans and rice. Utilize dead space, under the beds, in the back of closets, or behind false panels in the garage. If an inspector or a looter glances in your garage, they should see messy junk, not organized survival inventory. Strategy 3, productive assets versus stored assets. The best way to hide food is to hide the source of the food. A warehouse of wheat can be seized. A garden in your backyard looks like a hobby. Heirloom seeds are the ultimate invisible asset. They look like dust, but they contain infinite calories. In the Soviet Union, families survived on dacha gardens, small plots of land that the state ignored. While the official grocery stores were empty, the private gardens were feeding the population. We have covered the 5 assets: bank deposits, the digital hostage; gold, the enemy of the state; retirement accounts, the honeypot, safe deposit boxes, the privacy myth, food and supplies, the hoarder target. It is a terrifying list. It feels like the walls are closing in. But remember this, the goal is not to live in fear. The goal is to live in freedom. The system relies on you being dependent. It relies on you keeping your money in their banks, your savings in their bonds, and your trust in their promises. When you take these steps, when you diversify your jurisdiction, secure your own keys, and build your own supply chain, you are quietly declaring independence. You become sovereign. You become invisible to their risks, but visible to new opportunities. In 2026, the greatest wealth transfer in history is happening. Wealth is moving from the unprepared to the prepared, from the visible to the invisible. The knock on the door might be coming, but if you follow this blueprint, there will be nothing for them to take. I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 assets are you most worried about losing in the next crisis, and do you have a plan B? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one.